And we are live. My name is Outlaw. I'm your host of RNN Live. Now, why don't we have our guests introduce themselves, starting from the bottom?
Hello, my name is the Dark Conservatarian, and I say, give me your subs, Rash. Remember the days of when that you used to have been smaller than me, and then you sold your soul to YouTube and paid the money to shill your own personal YouTube channel ad across the networks? How dare you get larger than me? So here I am. Give me your subs, bitch. Anyway.
Well, technically, there is an easier way for you to get more subs. You just need to target the furry audience. Are you willing to do that? Are you willing to do that?
No. Maybe if I was to make
to do that?
Maybe if I was to make a whole bunch of Flash Get style shorts, but is basically the opposite of what his skits are, which is I would have to show you the skits what they are, but they feature furries. I'd have to put them in a little bit of a brighter light than what Flash Gets actually does. Have you guys ever seen Furry Apocalypse? By the way,
Oh yeah, I've seen it. It's funny.
I have not seen the latest issue though.
What the?
Right, the furry pit.
Anyways, Demon.
You don't know what we're
next.
talking about, Demon?
No.
Well, we'll talk about it
short-
later. Anyways, Demon, you're next.
No.
Yeah, I'm Demon. Y'all know who the hell I am. Steelfade's saying we're having technical difficulties. I can hear everybody.
I don't have any problem hearing anything.
Let me see.
Everything seems to be working. Anyways, yeah, you people know who I am. Z?
I have no obligation to introduce myself.
Z, introduce yourself.
I have no obligation.
Z.
You are violating his human rights right now.
Also, who gave the
Technically,
stream
that
one
is true.
dislike?
It's not me. I'm just gonna say that.
Oh, Steelfang, shut up. Oh my goodness, everybody is going so crazy.
Anyways, we have two things we're going to be talking about today. The first thing is going to be about some of the controversies and this article on the Black Rifle Coffee Company. The second thing is we're going to be talking about the Biden administration and the thoughts of what we thought they did right and things we thought they did wrong and stuff like that. All right?
Okay. Can I start off with a comment?
Sure.
Sorry, Dark. Go ahead.
Dark Con.
Oh, so basically just a review of his presidency thus far?
Yes.
Okay. You're saying Demon Hobbit?
Oh, I was going to say, as far as Black Rifle Coffee goes, I love those guys. They're awesome. They do hilarious videos. And I don't care what this New York Times smear piece is. I still love them, and I love their coffee, and it's not going to change my mind.
Well, anyways, did we want to go first through the article?
Yeah, so we can call it the bullshit. Okay, yeah, continue.
Steelfang says, "Who is the new guy?"
Yeah, first I want to address the chat right here. New guy? Who you calling the new guy? I have been associated with Rational Outlaw probably before you have even been subscribed to him, dude. No, in all seriousness, I'm the Dark Conservatarian. I've been subscribed and partnered up with Rash ever since he was like at 200, 300 subs, something like that. We did a few collabs together. They're on his channel and they're on my channel as well. You can, see our work that we've done together on both of our channels. It's just been a while since I've ever arrived on RNN, and in turn, it has also been a while since Rash has arrived on Strike Force as well.
Well, for one, you have very inconsistent schedules. No offense, and two,
for the last few weeks, that hasn't been true. I know that has been like too true for like late 2019 and earlier 2020, but for the last 2 months, 3 months, something like that, it's been every Tuesday, 7:30 p.m. Central Standard Time. That's the going live time, anyways. When I send out the link, it's usually 15 minutes beforehand. But yeah.
So that's the other problem is you do it on weekdays, which is the worst days for me to do anything.
Oops. I'll have to see about maybe doing a weekend stream. But I like to save the weekends. But actually, what are we doing? Enough of this chit chat about our daily schedules, about our weekly schedules. Let's get into this, shall we?
All right, so Z, would you like to read the article?
Oh boy.
Don't let him read it.
Oh, fuck you, Demon. Demon, you are a Florida man with 40 proof blood.
If you only that? Come on, man.
I'm talking about when you're sober. But
You're a lion dog faced pony soldier.
What? Okay. Can the black rifle come?
Biden quote, by the way.
Yes.
Can I
Okay,
fucking
go ahead.
speak
Continue.
before I try to beat y'all through the screen?
We're derailing already. Come on, go.
Can the Black Rifle Coffee Company become the Starbucks of the right? The company doubled its sales last year by leaning into America's culture war. It's also trying to distance itself from some of its new customers. Subscribe for $1 a week, limited time offer. You didn't specify what I had to read.
So my question is, which kind of customers are they trying to distance themselves from? Because
the CIA, the FBI, for starters.
Go on in the
From
dark.
what I've
people.
seen, they mostly.
Okay, I
were
thought
just, if I could speak just really quickly, from what I've seen, the two kinds they want to distance themselves the most from are the January 6th rioters and also the Nick Fuentes types. Those seem to be the ones they want to distance themselves from the most.
like
The
they're not,
Fuentes ones are justified.
Well,
like
yes.
they're not even wanting to sell them their coffee to them.
No, they just don't want to be associated with them.
Oh, sure, yeah, I wouldn't want to like ally up and do actual business with them in be it in a business sense or a political sense or anything like that. But I thought that they might have been like refusing sale or anything like along
no,
those lines
nothing
with
like
them.
that.
Even.
I mean, who
Okay.
wants to be partnered up with Nick Fuentes? I know I sure as hell don't. And I'm a pretty staunch
question.
conservative.
There's still a lot of people who are gullible enough to think he's not a white nationalist.
I'm not even sure if people like Richard Spencer or J.F. Garriepi want to like associate and ally up with him for any kind of political endeavors.
Well,
I
Richard
could be
Spencer's
wrong.
He's a Democrat now, isn't he?
I got hearing generally that he did endorse Biden this last go around as far as political presidential elections go. And
Well, Biden is the more racist one.
And not to mention as well, Richard Spencer, he's considerably more left-leaning than Nick Fuentes is when it comes to economics. Like, they might align fairly well with each other on the social issues and what kind of policies and legislation they want to do on that front. But when it comes to economics, from what I get on the surface anyways, Nick Fuentes, he wants to reform or even repeal Social Security, among some other things, when he was interviewed by Dave Smith, I believe was the guy. I have to go back and look at that. But anyway, and Richard Spencer, he's for a higher minimum wage, a living wage even, single payer healthcare, and, all that stuff. And
Yes.
Even on abortion, if I had to guess, I would say that Nick Fuentes was a passionate pro-lifer, so passionate to where that he even wanted to like apply the death penalty to anybody who even gets an abortion. But let me look that up very quickly while you guys go reading.
So yeah, he did vote for Biden.
Well, they're both socialists.
Fuentes
And
and Spencer?
Yeah, they're
no,
racist
I only
socialists.
searched up Richard Spencer on what he's
Anyways,
doing.
let's continue with the article.
Yeah, go on.
Like most Americans, Evan Hafer experienced the January 6th insurrection
Bullshit!
at the United States Capitol from a distance, watching it unfold on his television and his iPhone from... Okay, first off, who the fuck watches TV anymore? Anyways, and his iPhone from Salt Lake City. What he said did not surprise him. Hafer, who is 44, voted for Donald Trump. He was even open at first to the possibility that Trump's claim of a sweeping
Don't say
voter
it.
fraud was legitimate, until William Barr, Trump's attorney general, declared in early December that he could find no evidence that such voter fraud occurred. Still, Hafer told me recently, quote, you're too told, by the commander-in-chief for months that the election was stolen, so you're going to have a group of people that are really pissed. While he disapproved of those who stormed the Capitol, he didn't believe that they or their actions constituted a real threat to the Republic. Quote, I've seen an insurrection, said Hafer, a former Green Beret and CIA contractor who served in Afghanistan and Iraq. Quote, I know what that looks like.
No problems with that part.
But Hafer's distance from the incident collapsed that same afternoon when he was alerted to a picture taken by a Getty photographer in the Senate chamber that immediately went viral. The photo showed a masked man vaulting over a banister holding several sets of plastic restraints, an apparent sign that the insurrectionists planned to take lawmakers hostage. Wait, what?
With no weapons?
The unidentified man, soon dubbed Zip Tie Guy, okay, I agree with that one, was dressed in a tactical vest, carried a taser, and wore a baseball hat with an image of an assault rifle silhouette against an American flag, a design sold by Black Rifle Coffee Company. Seriously, do they have to have company every time? Just sounds better, Black Rifle Coffee. Anyways, of which Hafer is the chief executive. Quote, I was like, oh, explit. I'll just read what he actually said. I was like, oh, fuck. That's the realism. Anyways, he recalled, here we go again. Black Rifle was founded in 2014 by Hafer and two fellow veterans who served in Afghanistan and Iraq who were enthusiastic enlistees in America's culture wars too. The company billed itself as a pro-military, pro-law enforcement, and anti-hipster. Early customers could download a shooting target from the company's Facebook page that featured a bow-tied man with a handlebar mustache. Its early coffees included the Silencer Smooth Roast and the AK-47 Espresso Blend. During Trump's presidency, Black Rifle's gleefully provocations grew more directly political. It endorsed Trump's Muslim ban, which was first written by the Obama administration and not actually a Muslim ban.
See, that's a bullshit line.
And bought Google ads based on searches for Covfefe. Quote, why is it brackets then quote? Quote, they should be running Trump's comms store. The alt-right conspiracy theorist Jack Posobiec.
Jack Posobiec is not alt-right.
Wrote in a tweet praising the Google maneuver. Okay. Well, if y'all have been paying attention recently, apparently Wash is a federal agent now.
What?
I'm not joking. This has happened in the past couple of days, I found out.
Did you
People are accusing Wash of being a federal agent.
He's a commie, but I don't think he's a Fed.
Yeah. It's a weird development.
I doubt it myself, but I would love to see the accusations just for shits and giggles, just for the sake of that.
I don't know. It was just something I saw left-wing Twitter accounts accusing of Wash, and then someone brought it up on stream, and that's about where it ended.
Okay, since the accusation is coming from the left, that doesn't surprise me. A lot of leftists think that he is making the left look bad, so they're all like, fuck it, he's just
you mean the guy who's pro-rape, pro-pedophilia, pro-communism, and doesn't understand what forced means? If you don't get what I mean by that he doesn't understand what forced means, some time ago someone started a thread of terrible hot takes by Wash, and one hot take was of how he believes that people who say that says that sex workers under communism would be forced is wrong, because they won't be forced, they will be conscripted. The
Oh,
guy
is there gonna
doesn't
be
know
like
what
a hoe
constructive
draft?
coffee means. So yeah, I wonder why he might make the political left look bad.
Anyways, who's
Wow.
JJ McNabb or whatever?
Who?
The person you said, Demon, that it wasn't an extremist?
Jack Posobiec, as who I heard Demon Hobbit mention wasn't alt-right.
No, he's
Yeah.
not.
Who is that exactly?
He's a lawyer.
Can you please specify more than just that?
Okay. He's a guy, he's on Tim Pool's show all the time. Him and Michael Malice, they basically they just call out BS where they see it, and they don't espouse any views of like, the whole white supremacy thing. They don't do any of that crap. They're very conservative, yes, but I would not consider them alt-right. But these days, everybody to the right of Stalin is alt-right. So that's fine.
Okay.
Right.
Correction, Demon. You mean Stallone.
A couple things I want to say. Like, first off, I want to make a correction or a slight retraction. I do not know for certain if Nick Fuentes is like for applying the death penalty when it comes to abortion. There's not a whole lot saying about his abortion beliefs, but I think he might be a pro-lifer, whereas opposed to Richard Spencer is pro-choice. And second thing I wanted to mention, is it ironic or no that I'm drinking Dunkin' Donuts coffee right now while we're reading an article talking about Black Rifle coffee?
Hey, Dunkin' Donuts makes good coffee, man. I'm not
I agree.
Hey, the bottom bitch has arrived.
Oh boy.
Shut
Do you
up, Neko.
seriously have to say that the instant he comes in here?
Yes,
It
because
You
now
could give
he's
him a
replaced-
bit of a break.
it's
now
so
he-
ingrained. However, if like Demons Laid or whatever, we make him the bottom, so it's fair.
Well, for a little bit ago, I was the bottom bitch on this lineup of podcasters right here, showing up on the left side of the screen. So it's whatever.
Damn it! You stole my joke I was gonna make.
All right, can we just get through this article?
Where are we?
Before,
on this?
I'll go back to reading the article, but before that, a certain someone in the comments says, "Someone call my name." I am not gonna read it out. Someone else is gonna have to do that.
Oh,
Dark
jeez. Why would I?
It's your punishment.
Because you want subscribers. Now do it. Grovel.
The name
Rational.
of this person is Diaper Wolf.
Oh, I was gonna make Rational do it. Damn it.
Okay.
Yeah,
anyways.
I just want to say that name is cancer. No offense, Diaper Wolf.
You're
Grow
just
up.
gonna be the one saying it now. Anyways, back to the article. Jack Posobiec wrote in a tweet praising the Google maneuver. Before long, Black Rifle became the unofficial coffee of the MAGA universe, winning public endorsements from Sean Hannity and Donald Trump Jr. JJ McNabb, a fellow at George Washington University's program on extremism, okay, take that with a grain of salt, noted that Black Rifle apparel was a recurring feature in footage of last summer's anti-lockdown and anti-Black Lives Matter endorsements in various states, when Kyle Rittenhouse, the Illinois teenager who is charged in a fatal shooting of two people, yeah, one was a pedophile, the other one was a wife beater, so just gonna bring that up.
There was 3 people. Were only 2 of those people in favor and in association of BLM, or were all 3 of them?
Doesn't matter at this point fully, because let's face it, there was a BLM riot. They were rioting with it. Whether they were Antifa or BLM, they were still at the riot.
All right, I
The-
just find it funny.
The
that this
important
article-
thing is that he shot someone who diddled kids and died. He shot another one who was a wife beater and died. And then he shot a pedophile who doesn't have the ability to use his right arm anymore, who's currently crying his ass off that he cannot sue Kyle Rittenhouse. So that's the current story. Anyways, protest last August in Kenosha.
Hey, Z, I think you
Kenosha,
could
Wisconsin.
I think you could skip this paragraph because I think everybody knows the story.
Okay, we got this here.
Wolf over here says, "My name's Duncan."
Are you a donut?
Oh, that was the question. Someone called my name. Okay, now I get it.
Oh, but yeah, because I said Dunkin' Donuts. I gotcha. Har har har.
Anyways, blah 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 blah. His first post-jail photo showed him wearing a Black Rifle T-shirt written "House use a black Smith & Wesson AR-15 style rifle." Oh God.
I think it was just a flat out AR-15.
Yeah, but I
just
hate it when
AR-15
I see it
style.
fucking written down AR-15 style. You mean a
means-
rifle?
It means they don't know any other kind of gun because they don't.
It means that they don't know what's happening or what is in the hands of someone. Anyways,
Lord help
Exactly.
us if somebody is like going on a shooting with a bullpup rifle and somebody says that's an AR-15. Hugest face palm of all time.
did everyone forget the fact that like CNN reported a shotgun as an AR-15?
I never
Like,
heard
oh,
of this.
Frick,
No?
I remember that.
I'm going to have to find it after I'm done reading.
Next, they're gonna call.
Elijah Schaefer. Let me finish this, please. Let's get over this article, then we discuss it, and in the process, I search for that fucking clip. Anyways, Elijah Schaefer, a reporter and host of Glenn Beck's Blaze Media, whose quote slightly offensive podcast was sponsored at the time by Black Rifle, tweeted a picture with the message "Kyle Rittenhouse drinks the best coffee in America" and promotional code for Black Rifle's website.
That's
Okay,
classy.
let's. In this context, the appearance of Black Rifle merchandise at the Capitol on January 6th was not exactly shocking. I'm just going to point out, I've been to Tankfest 2 times, and I see a lot of people with iron crosses. Doesn't make them Nazis. It's just called a fucking tank event, mostly featuring World War II tanks. Most of them American, because the German ones don't work.
And
Anyways.
of course, the Iron Cross is older than the Nazi regime.
Actually, it's really fucking old, weirdly enough. We're also talking about the Templars.
That's
But
why I
anyways,
said it's older than.
Isn't it kind of like a Medal of Honor in Germany?
Doesn't that?
it used to be the Medal of Honor until it was removed post-war. And then in April last year, the German federal government was voting to reinstitute the Iron Cross as Germany's Medal of Honor. And what happened was that because of stupid politics, they deemed that it's not appropriate because of its Nazi connotation. So that's like 200 years just thrown down the drain. But anyways.
So that makes me ask the question: does that mean that Adeptus Astartes of the Imperium from Warhammer 40k are a bunch of Nazis?
Warhammer in general is just a bunch of Nazis. And the orcs are black people, despite the fact that they're green.
Oh my gosh, the racist stereotypes abound. Yeah, it's stupid. Everybody, it's coming to like bite. Anyway, I'm not going to get into that tangent. Otherwise, we're going to be so long.
Honestly, out of all of this, I think just at the end of this stream, I'll just bring up a clip from what's his name, Russian Badger, where he did on Warhammer Space Marine, I think the game is called, where he has a clip with a Space Marine where he says, "I'm not racist," and then goes explaining the whole thing. And I think it's good. But anyways, where was I? Fuck.
You were at the part where it said,
Nevertheless, Matt Best, the company's 34-year-old executive vice president, insists that Black Rifle was singled out unfairly. Every brand named the brand was probably there. Walmart jeans, Nike shoes, he said. And then it's like one patch from our company, there's a certain terrorist organization that wears American brands when they go behead Americans. Do you think they want to be a part of that? And I'm not drawing a parallel between the two. I'm just saying there are things in business when you grow that are completely out of your control. Well, that is
like some stupid like guilt by association type stuff. Are people going to start saying that the one guy who shot up Jeff Flake or whoever it was, that was because of Bernie Sanders, directly because of Bernie Sanders?
No, because it's Bernie.
Well, here in Germany,
Jeff Flake.
Some time ago, we had a vote which the CDU, the main party that Merkel is from, lost, and the main one that won was the ODP. I forgot what they fully are, but they're kind of center-right, but they're more left-leaning. They're a new party is the important thing. Anyways, they lost, but the party itself has no controversies.
By the way, I want to just say very
Until-
quickly, I think it was Jeff Flake. Anyways,
Okay. Until it came down to the whole thing where other parties had to vote in this election, and the AfD, the quote-unquote Nazi party of Germany, voted for the ADP, because the other two options, or technically the other three options, was either voting for the CDU, so that's Merkel, the SPD, the Social Democrats, which are just communists, or the Greens, which are hippie pedophiles. So of course they vote for the center-right party, which I do not like them because I find the ODP fucking weaklings. Because, we're center-right, but we will not enforce any of our policies. It's really one of the weakest parties out there. But because the AfD voted for them, now they're guilty of the same accusations as the AfD.
I was just going to say, to clarify, Darkon, I was saying Bernie Sanders because the guy that shot the Republican Congress people was a Bernie supporter. That's all.
right?
But you
No,
were right,
that
it
was
was Jeff Flake.
exactly the point that I was trying to make. I mean, if people are going to be trying to draw parallels that these people that go wearing Black Rifle Coffee brands are that Black Rifle Coffee themselves are somehow responsible for all this bullshit. I mean, are they going to then start saying that the Jeff Flake shooter, that Bernie Sanders is responsible for him?
No, it's only when it's
the guy
convenient for them.
The guy was in support of Bernie Sanders, but Jeff Flake was the target.
Just remember, it's rules for thee, but not for me.
Right.
All right,
This-
Z, get on with it. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut.
It was several months after January 6th, and Best and Heifer were revisiting the episode in Black Rifle's offices in Salt Lake City, a converted warehouse with a lot of black metal and reclaimed wood, as well as concrete floors stained with swirly light brown patterns that Heifer calls
Spilt latte.
spilt latte.
The fuck does that have to do with anything?
I don't know, it's called filler. You need to reach a certain quota when you're writing. But anyways,
Guess
Best,
so.
a former army ranger who stands over 6 feet and has the physique of an unlimited fighting championship.
Ultimate Fighting Championship
I'm
contender.
fucking getting old. I don't know. Half of the text on this screen of mine is coming out blurry, which is kind of weird. Anyways, Ultimate Fighting Championship contender recalled the initial internet rumors that he himself was Zip Tie Guy, who was later identified as a considerably smaller man named Eric Munchel.
Munchkin?
Anyways. No, that's
Sure, why
offensive,
not?
Demon. Munchel. A 30-year-old Tennessean recently employed by a Kid Rock themed bar and restaurant
Why?
in Nashville. Quote, I was like, that guy's $140 and 5'7".
That's
What
me.
does that mean?
I have no clue what that means. Demon, could you elaborate?
That's basically my size. I am about 5'7" and about 143.8 pounds.
Hmm.
So it's a dude that was my size, and I was there, but it wasn't me.
So that's where your Chinese side comes in.
Yes.
How much more of this article is there?
Well, they got to make it. They got to put it in filler to. That's what I was saying. Skip through some of the irrelevant stuff.
Okay, Heifer, who is of far more relatable stature, best liken him to Rocket, the genetically... Oh, for fuck's sakes!
The genetically
really?
enhanced
Marvel?
raccoon in the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
You know, one of the most embarrassing things is that I do like to make references to films when trying to cite real life events, because sometimes it's just more fun that way. Until I find that now it's kind of like a badly addressed thing because of how many Redditors like complain, compare natural disasters to fucking Marvel, Disney, or anything like that instantly, and it's like, for fuck's
It's
sake,
fiction. Okay,
give it
this
some
whole
time.
paragraph, I sped read it. There's nothing in this paragraph.
Okay,
that you
what
need.
about this one?
I would never want my brand to be represented in this way, shape, or form, Haver said, because that's not me. And yet Black Rifle has made conspicuously little public effort to separate themselves from Munch.
You were about
Do
to
they
Munchkin,
have
didn't you?
to?
I said Munchell, but then I was giving a sign like where was it? And yet Black Rifle has made conspicuously little effort for public effort. For some weird reason, I'm gonna take a guess. This person wants in their own head for Black Rifle to go out of their way, put up billboards, pay some like physical media that they're not associated with this one short guy.
I think that's a bullshit standard. You have to prove your innocence. No, you have to prove their guilt is what you have to do.
And it's more than
Not
likely
anymore.
that they did post all over their social media and maybe a statement on their website just saying that we're not associated with anyone on January 6th. But let's face it, this article is going to skew it in a way because it doesn't specifically mention the short guy. Yes, I've completely twisted Dudeman's suggestion of calling the damn guy midget to just calling him in general the short guy.
Val, just continue.
I'm not going to read more. Anyways. This is a sharp departure from its handling of the Rittenhouse incident. Following pressure from the company, Schaefer deleted his tweets and Hafer released a video statement in which he clarified that while Black Rifle believed, quote, in the Constitution and the Second Amendment of the right to bear arms, and that a person is innocent until proven guilty, the company didn't sponsor Rittenhouse. We're not in the business of profiting from tragedy.
Which, if we can first discuss this a little more, because I saw the original video where they talked about it. It was basically, they didn't mention even Rittenhouse's name. They just said that exactly what you read there, said they aren't trying to sponsor off of any kind of particular person. They were saying they do not, indirectly saying they do not sponsor Rittenhouse. And people felt, I guess on the right, people felt that was throwing Rittenhouse under the bus, but I do not think that. I think it was they wanted to distance themselves from this controversy without saying any particular views at all, which is what actually companies are supposed to do.
Yeah, I agree. It wasn't like how some people flip-flop and be like, oh, Rittenhouse bad. I mean, you're right. They took a neutral stance.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and companies are supposed to do that. I don't get why the right is now... A lot of people on the right are getting upset over something like that when that's what companies had been doing before, like, the 2010s.
Well, if you look at the next paragraph, it makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't consider Nick Fuentes on the right. Who gives a shit what he says? Just skip what he says. Who cares?
No, I want to hear what this is.
Okay, the limited disavowal triggered fury. On the right, the people that run Black Rifle Company, Black Rifle Coffee, are no different than most scammers involved in the conservative grift. Nick Fuentes, a prominent white nationalist activist, wrote on Twitter,
which is the one
quote,
time
they're giant douchebag posers in flip-flops and baseball caps. When push comes to shove, they are fucking liberals. Hafer, who is Jewish, was bombarded on social media with anti-Semitic attacks. He estimates that the Rittenhouse episode cost the company between 3,000 and 6,000 subscribers to its various online coffee clubs. Black Rifle was caught off guard by the backlash. Anyways, when the FBI identified Short Guy, the company said nothing at all.
Do we want to discuss this a little more about opinions on why people unsubscribed for that particular reason?
Not particularly. I think that people are just being like
Some people
unfair.
take politics too seriously.
Yeah.
I honestly prefer a response from a company just for neutral on the situation rather than... Would I
sound like
prefer if they supported the Kyle Rittenhouse? Yeah, I would prefer that, but they took the neutral stance. I have no problem with that. It's not like they went out of their way to tell that the guy should be in jail.
yeah,
Well,
if they gone saying that he deserved to have get beaten up by all the protesters and rioters, let's be honest, and whatnot, then I would understand unsubscribing from Black Rifle Coffee and no longer doing business with them. But this was, yeah, I thought it was like overblown.
Darkan.
Yeah,
Darkan.
it was a typical.
Darkan. Let me say my stupid joke out loud.
What is
Darkan. You mean protesters with a skin complexion?
it?
Right.
My jokes
right,
are
right.
only gonna get worse from here on out.
Anyways, but
Riots are bad no matter who does them.
but yeah, it's. Oh, damn it, I lost my train of thought because of
Yay! Shorter video.
Fuck you.
Let's continue with the article then, because noticing the little fucking thing on the right, we have a shit ton more to go. Yay!
Just
The
go to the
coffee
last
company-
paragraph. That's the important one.
Okay, I think I'll just read this one because it says MAGA, MAGA, MAGA like 3 times on the bottom. The coffee company is the coffee company is much bigger, Hiffer insisted, than quote a hat in the fucking capital. But the uncomfortable truth remained that someone like Shortman would have thought to wear the company's hat to the Capitol was a large part of how Black Rifle had gotten so big in the first place. This was the dilemma in which Black Rifle now found itself. How do you build a cool, kind of irrelevant
Irreverent.
pro-Second Amendment, pro-America brand in the MAGA era? Hafer wondered out loud, without doubling down on the MAGA movement and also not being called a fucking Reno by the MAGA guys.
By the way, you
Okay,
said
that-
irreverent, not irrelevant. Those are 2 different words.
I could have sworn I said irrelevant.
No, the word is irreverent on the article there.
Okay, so I do want to display.
I've lost
some-
track as to where the hell that is.
I-
We'll just acknowledge that I'm 70% blind at
Alright,
this
I
point.
am going to display one disagreement we have from the chat if we want to discuss this a little further.
I agree with
Steel
Steve.
Fang says, Outlaw, I disagree. By avoiding certain issues, you get far less psychos smelling your fear and demanding you fire so and so. Or you have to follow our
Follow.
ideology or else.
He's
Yes.
not wrong.
Well, yes, to an extent in that sense. However, no one gives a shit about the left. The left has no power over companies like Black Rifle Coffee.
I mean, you can say that they don't have power, but when they come to your store, they break your windows, they steal
Other
your
than
cash
that,
register, they
they
shoot your
really
dog.
don't
I'm
have
sorry,
the
that
power.
was the ATF, but anyways.
Considering the
Um,
fact that they're in red wing states, I think all their stores are in red wing states and more red wing cities, I think.
Yeah, but I think what Steel Fang over here is trying to
Red
give us
Wing.
a generalized statement.
Red
On the
Wing, are we
whole.
talking about the shoe company here?
I meant right wing.
Well, and
Red Wing is a company.
Red Wing shoes,
Anyways,
yeah.
But anyway,
They make great shoes if you work at a restaurant.
I'm just gonna say the left doesn't really have much power over companies like Black Rifle Coffee because their main demographic aren't like Democrats or liberals.
No, they sell in Europe.
I will say to Steel Fang there in the chat that I would prefer if they did take a pro stance, but because they did not take either a pro or an anti stance, I think it's just a little bit overblown for you to be unsubbing from them or whatever and not doing business with them anymore just because of that, just because they want to remain overall neutral.
Yeah,
Yeah,
here
I-
Steel Fang says, I'm talking out any company. I think he meant to say, I'm talking about any company. So, yeah, a general statement
Well, yeah, in
which
a
doesn't
general
fully
sense, then
apply
yes, the
to
left can do
the
that.
current situation.
But certain companies like Black Rifle Coffee aren't really going to be affected because their main base is, let's just face it, more right wing or libertarian buyers because that's what they advertise towards. They advertise towards veterans. They also advertise to people who support the police, the military. Those people tend to be more right wing or conservative. That's just their base, so they're not going to be as affected by if they wanted to just take a neutral stance. It doesn't affect them in any particular way. Now, I think, yes, I will agree with that. I, like everyone else here, I would prefer they took like a stance like in support of Rittenhouse, but I'm not opposed to them just doing the neutral stance because they just want to distance themselves from the entire thing because they feel it's too toxic, which I find fine. Now, if they had, and as like Darkin, I believe, said, taken a stance against Rittenhouse, then I would definitely say that is justified. Wanting to unsubscribe to their coffee subscription and no longer buy their products and basically hitting on them. That would be justified.
Yep.
You can dislike them being neutral, but I don't think it's justified to go out and hating them, saying they're a terrible company, that they're cucks or whatever, and just all of that. That I don't think is justified. You can not like that they did neutral, but I don't think it's justified to go out straight out hating them and just not buying their products because you have a slight disagreement on the fact that they decided to go neutral.
Yeah, I dislike their approach. And I would not necessarily use the word justified. I would say I use the word fair. It isn't fair that they'd be doing it, but yeah. Nonetheless, we're on the same page overall.
Either way, the important thing is that we bully those that try to introduce wheelchairs to Dungeons and Dragons.
And yes, Steelfang, I know you said you don't hate them. I never was trying to say that if that's what you felt I was. I know you don't hate them because I believe on my Discord you said you like their coffee and stuff. You just disagreed with the Rittenhouse thing.
Anyway.
I'm just talking about strictly the people who do say they hate them now. That's
Oh,
what
yeah.
I'm referring to.
All the Nick Fuentes Groiper types.
Yeah, screw those guys. Who cares?
Well, those guys I don't give a crap because they're racist anyways. But the ones who, like, there are certain right-wing conservatives who are not Nick Fuentes types, or maybe Nick Fuentes light types, like Lauren Chen. She's liked to tweet heavily criticizing Black Rifle Coffee about that, and some other right-wing conservatives have also done the same, criticizing heavily on Black Rifle Coffee, calling them traitors or cucks or stuff like that.
What's this Twitter you speak of? I would know. Okay, can we get through this and move on?
Anyways, let's continue. Is there any particular paragraphs you suggest we should go over, Demon?
Yes, go down to the end because they always bury. They lead with one thing, and then if you go to the end, that's when they tell you what they really believe. And you'll notice that they were using quotes in the first part of the story, but you go down, and then they're saying, like, well, an associate of someone who knew someone said this, and it's like, okay, that is not a quote. That is not evidence of anything.
Okay, shall we go to the end of this article, finish this, and
scroll
then...
down. Scroll down. I'll tell you where it's at.
Anyways, Steelfang, I'm not trying to say you hate Black Rifle Coffee or anything. I know you don't. Okay, am I there yet?
Hold on.
Wow, this is what you get for choosing a New York Times article of all places. They're like super ridiculously long and unnecessarily long, might I add.
Oh,
Am
they
I
did something
there
with Barstool Sports. Yeah, I read that part.
Am I past or not far enough?
Well, it's where they said that somebody from the Pentagon, they heard something from them, but there's no source, nothing.
Okay, am I there yet or not? I just that was my question, Demon.
Yeah, keep going.
You could always let Demon Hobbit screen share it and he reads it from his end.
That's literally the end of the article.
Yeah, this is literally the end here.
Where is it? in glorified supply closet in Salt Lake City offices. See, this is where they get to, like, okay, they were talking. Well, what did they say? What do you know? You don't have anything.
Okay, why don't we go on this? Starting here.
Starting where?
Here, the top.
When I asked Hafer and Best if they had given any thought as to why the first public thing Kyle Rittenhouse did after getting bailed out of jail was put on a Black Rifle t-shirt and pose for a picture, their answer was procedural. An ex-Special Forces member who helped collect Rittenhouse from jail stopped by a Bass Pro shop to get some new clothes for the teenager, including the Black Rifle t-shirt. Hafer said as for why Eric Shortman chose a Black Rifle hat, in addition to a tactical vest and a taser, as part of his get-up for his flexing of muscles on January 6th, as he described his actions to a British newspaper they had no interest in digging too deeply. Wait, what? They had no interest in digging too deeply. Quote, he's just some guy that bought the hat, Hafer said. Just like 10,000 other people who bought the hat in the previous 60 days. Before that, or whatever it was. The Black Rifle guys are not the evil that everyone makes them out to be, says J.J. McNabb, the extremist researcher, but they've closed their eyes to some of the evil that takes their humor seriously. Still, Black Rifle professes, to be eager to pull some of its fiercest and trolliest culture war fights behind it. What I've figured out the last couple of years is that being really political in the sense of backing an individual politician or any individual party is really fucking detrimental. Hafer told me. And it's detrimental to the company, and it's detrimental ultimately to my mission. I can even read that without Outlaw scrolling down. Steelfang says, why distance your company from someone who did nothing wrong?
Yeah, isn't the information that we essentially got from this article that they originally were helping out Rittenhouse and then they decided to take a more neutral stance after that?
Yes, I believe there was this. People were trying to say that they were helping Rittenhouse or that they were profiting from it, and they just wanted to specify that they were not profiting from it, and that.
I mean, why did they decide to distance themselves from him? I mean, it's not like the case for Rittenhouse was getting worse and worse. It's not like Rittenhouse was being proven guiltier and guiltier. No, the case was getting better for him, and it was becoming more and more apparent
I think that
he was innocent.
I think that happened before we have all the more data coming out on it. I think that's when it was happening, wasn't it?
Oh, here we go. Last paragraph. That's what I'm talking about. Look at the St. Michael thing. Go back up.
Back up where?
We've spent nearly an hour on this. St. Michael, you said. Okay, there we go. Okay, so I'm going to read this paragraph. Hafer and Bez were talking in a glorified supply closet in the Salt Lake City offices where potential designs for new coffee bags were hanging on the wall. One of them featured a Renaissance-style rendering of St. Michael the Archangel, a patron saint of military personnel, shooting a short-barreled rifle in Afghanistan and Iraq. Hafer knew a number of squad mates who had a St. Michael tattoo. For a time, he wore into battle a St. Michael pendant that a Catholic friend gave him. But while the St. Michael design was being mocked up, Hafer said he learned from a friend at the Pentagon that an image of St. Michael trampling on Satan had been embraced by white nationalists because it was reminiscent of the murder of George. Oh boy. George Floyd. Now, any plans for the coffee bag have been scrapped. This won't see the light of day, Hafer said. This sounds like a fucking story. Outlaw, could you scroll down a bit?
Anyways, yes.
Let's just finish this, then I go to the toilet, and then we watch the video link I sent. Something like...
Oh, okay. I just want to comment that last paragraph. That does seem to be a bit of a cuck move. If I was to be
if
quite
it happened correctly. Remember, this is still the New York Times. It is
What
still...
did I miss? What happened?
Seriously?
At least according to New York Times, anyways. Apparently, it took down a T-shirt that had Saint Michael trampling Satan, and because it was too reminiscent of Derek Chauvin, like putting the knee or kneeling on George Floyd's neck, and like you could basically you could insert any character of justice. I'm not saying that Chauvin is a character of justice. Not saying that at all. You can insert any character curb stomping another character at all. I mean, are we just going to not have that imagery at all just because of George Floyd? Just because, I don't know, apparently the world has PTSD of that instance? Yes, it was bad that it happened, but don't go ruining your entire vision of all of media just because of one guy who got kneeled on the neck.
I personally think it's fine if they wanted to take that down because they didn't want the kinds of backlash. I think because you also got to think about that. This is a company. They're not an individual person. If it's one specific person who's just selling T-shirts, then you might be able to make that argument.
But it was Saint Michael stomping on Satan.
But they probably didn't want to get associated by some people trying to say that they're alt-right. You got to look at it from that point of view. They don't want to be viewed in saying that they're some alt-right group. I think it's fine if they wanted to remove a T-shirt. I mean, that's totally their choice.
I mean, if they want to say that Black Rifle Coffee or whoever it was trying to say that George Floyd is Satan and that Derek Chauvin is Saint Michael, well then they're idiots.
Well, yeah, they're idiots.
Okay,
I'm just saying I think it's fine if they don't want to be thought of as that way.
I'm going to interrupt over here for...
What?
I'm going to interrupt over here. If y'all want the article to continue reading as I go to the toilet, Demon is going to read. First off, Steel Fang pointed out the wonderful title of George Harambe. I'm going to leave this discussion and go to the toilet, and y'all can discuss this nightmare that's about to show up.
Where am I starting? From the top here?
I just want to say, first of all, the edge, Steel Fang, the edge.
Anyways, but as far as the T-shirt thing goes, I think it's fine if they... I personally don't think there's anything wrong with if they wanted to remove the T-shirt because they didn't want to get associated or be called white supremacists or things like that for just wanting to remove the T-shirt. Who knows? They might later on add the T-shirt back once everything quiets down after a next year or two.
Maybe.
Didn't we read this?
I don't care that much, but anyway.
Did we already read this part?
Which part are we on?
Okay, we're on this part. Okay, you can't let sections of your customers hijack your brand and say, this is who you are. Okay, Bess told me. It's like, so, no. We define that. Okay, it's a Rittenhouse episode. May have cost the company thousands of customers, but Hafer believed it allowed...
It also allowed Black Rifle to draw a line in the sand.
Yeah, I'm thought it said little. It's such a repugnant group of people, Hafer said. It's like the worst of American society. And I got to finish the toilet.
Flush the toilet.
Why toilet? Oh, flush the toilet. I said finish. My bad.
And I don't think he's actually talking about the people who supported Rittenhouse. I think he's talking about the people like the Nick Quintus types who are saying that he's a cuck and that he's just a typical Jew. I don't think he's talking about people who supported specifically Rittenhouse because they think Rittenhouse was justified in his actions. I think he's talking about the Nick Fuentes types.
Okay, now that I think about it, the leading headline of this article is rather misleading. It's not Black Rifle Coffee that is wanting to disassociate from Nick Fuentes' Groypers. It's Groypers wanting to disassociate from Black Rifle Coffee, and Black Rifle Coffee is all like, cool.
Yeah, I should have made this full screen when I started reading. I just did, and now I can see it because I was misreading it before because it was like tiny. Okay, it's such a repugnant group of people. It's the worst in Americans or of American society. Blah blah blah. We already did that. The racism shit really pisses me off. Hafer said, "I hate racist, proud boy-ish people. Like I'll pay them to leave my customer base. I would gladly chop all those people out of my expletive customer database." I think he probably said "fucking." And pay them to get the. Well, that's going to be get the fuck out. If that was the case, I asked, had Black Rifle, which sells a thin blue line coffee, considered changing the name of its Beyond Black coffee? Someone's going to call that racist. A dark roast it has sold for years to Beyond Black Lives Matter. Surely that would alienate the racist, polluting its customer base. Okay, I don't even understand that.
I think he's just trying to make a joke here.
Hafer began to laugh. Yes, he was making a joke then. You wouldn't do that, I ventured. I would never do that, Hafer replied. We're trying to be us. Sounds like Black Rifle.
I just want to say the first quote right there on the last actual paragraph, the racism fucking really pisses me off. Hafer said, I hate racist, proud boy-ish people. Racist Proud Boy is like, are the Proud Boys really explicitly racist?
I mean, I think he probably just didn't even know who the Proud Boys really are, because a lot of times I think the media has confused so many people who the Proud Boys are.
I will say that I do not know the full details of Proud Boy, but I am like hesitant to call them racist at all myself, but Hafer doesn't seem hesitant at all. I will admit that Proud Boys probably have racists and white supremacists within their ranks, but is that the goal of the Proud Boys, is white supremacy or whatnot? I would take a gander that no, that's not the case. In fact,
leader's Hispanic.
Precisely. That I would take a gander to say that they have dark-skinned people within their group. So it's like, where is how are they generally a white supremacist organization or whatever?
They're not.
Again, we also have to look at this is probably the Black Rifle Company people, probably mostly just typical conservatives, so they don't really pay attention to the whole Proud Boy people, who they exactly are and all that.
Yeah, normie being a fucking normie.
All right, Can we move on?
But anyways, any other final discussions you want to say about Black Rifle Coffee, criticisms, or anything like that of the sort?
I say it's ridiculous, the association that New York Times is trying to tie in with Black Rifle Coffee and all the questionable people that participated in retaliation against the rioters or Antifa or any other bullshit that they want to pull out of their ass to do this false guilt by association type stuff. And I think that Black Rifle Coffee, even though that I wish that they would have a little bit more of a spine than what they're showing, I still say it's somewhat understandable anyways. And me personally, I would not find it worth depriving myself of Black Rifle Coffee. That is, if I did drink Black Rifle Coffee beforehand. And it's just ultimately not worth depriving myself of Black Rifle Coffee if I ever drank it.
And if you want to laugh your ass off, watch If Veterans Were in Horror Movies.
What?
It's a Black Rifle video they did. It's hilarious.
Okay.
There's two of them.
Anyways, as far as the Black Rifle Coffee Company comes, like for example, as you said, I sell insurance. I'm in this field. I don't put my politics with my business, basically. I completely separate the two. Now, Black Rifle Coffee obviously does do some politics stuff, but they probably don't want to go.
Yeah, have you seen Matt Best's YouTube channel?
Outlaw.
Can I finish?
Outlaw.
What?
You also live in California near LA. I don't think you expressing your politics by any degree would benefit you in the work field.
Yes, that too. But anyways,
It's not just I do not put my politics into my work. It's more like I don't put my politics because I'll be screwed.
By the way, do you live in one of the red counties? In the more west-ish side of California?
who was your question for? Oh,
You, Rash.
Darkon, don't try to dox him.
no, I technically am in a very blue county, but my city is kind of purple.
Okay. Just curious. Doesn't matter.
Okay, moving along.
Yes.
By the way, Neko, you haven't said any points of view.
Well, it's been kind of hard to get a word in.
Well, go ahead.
That's
just
true.
give out your opinion.
Well, we kind of went past it, but I mean, like the rest of you, I partially agree with Steel Fang that there is kind of a time and place to be political, and I feel like, while we obviously need to have a stance, sometimes I think it's important not to be political 24/7 like the left does, because honestly, that makes us no better than them, and we kind of start alienating people.
Oh boy, don't even get me started on that point.
I was going to say, I got a lot to say about that, but we'll save it for later in the interest of time.
Steel
Yes,
Fang,
please.
Steel Fang says, Outlaw, what's your social?
Okay, yeah, I put my question. I'm just asking, are you asking for my
What?
business social media or my channel social media? Because my channel social media is all in the description. You can find it there easily. But for my business one, I can send you a private link if you want to have that. But anyways, any other points you wanted to bring up, Neko?
Yeah, actually, isn't there a furry who works for Black Rifle, Dojo Coyote?
I have never heard this before, but okay.
Like, I technically can't confirm it, but I do know, the guy left YouTube because, surprise, he was getting harassed by the leftist furries.
You just made Darkon like 100% more uncomfortable right now.
I don't give a shit. I don't have as much of a cringe bone against furries as some other people might.
I think Demon has the most cringe bone against that.
Yeah, but Demon
What
is
are you
also
talking
the
about?
oldest.
I mean, plus it's relevant to the discussion, and I mean,
Go ahead.
3/5 of the people here are furry, so
Right.
Speak for
Y'all
yourself.
Y'all can do whatever the hell you want, as long as it doesn't involve animals or children.
Oh,
Just
please,
don't
Demon.
tell me that I'm a bigot for not going to your fucking orgies.
Why would I do that?
and this is the difference between us and the left.
Yes, but let's face it, the reason why we make Demon so uncomfortable is because he wants to skin a gator.
Right.
Hey, how do you know I haven't skinned a gator?
Because you still have both thumbs.
Dude, do you even know how to subdue a gator?
Yes, I've been there.
Anyways, what are you trying to share here, Darkon?
It was a video that was linked on the side there by Z. I think it might have been the video talked about earlier about how CNN was
Yes,
mistaking
it's a
the
7-second clip that he hadn't seen.
Okay,
Outlaw,
so
the
that-
social security question was a joke.
I thought you were talking about my social media, not my social security.
Oh,
Fang, you should have asked what's your social security, because when you say what's your social, it just sounds like social media and so on.
yes, there are two different types of social.
Anyways.
So,
Oh, Putza has finally arrived. Hey, Putza.
Oh, what up, dude? All right, I gotta go pee. I'll be right back. Pooch is here, so I can go take a pee.
Anyways, any other final comments before we show Darkon's thing really quickly?
What do you mean Dark Constantine? It's my team.
Oh, whatever. Anyways, any comments before we go on to it?
Not really.
Neko, did you have anything else you wanted to further say? Neko?
Oh, sorry. No, I think I'm good.
All right.
I'm not gonna lie, when you said Neko, it sounded kind of like you said nigga.
Of course.
Hey, that's an idea for my avatar next time.
Oh,
No.
And I'm gonna share. Okay.
oh, jeez. He's gonna have a Boondock Saints, or no, not Boondock Saints, a Boondocks profile picture.
Actually, that would be kind of appropriate for him. But anyways,
What's
back to
good?
this.
NBC demonstrates. Oh, okay. So I guess it wasn't CNN. It was NBC.
I-
NBC demonstrates how much damage an AR-15 can do to a watermelon. Only they got it very wrong.
Take a look at this video used to shoot a watermelon using an AR-15.
Using an AR-15 that needs pump action and shoots at range.
Yeah, next, they're going to say that Elmer Fudd's hunting rifle is an AR-15.
We can just make the claim that the founders use AR-15s.
Any gun and every gun that is longer than a Glock is apparently an AR-15.
Hey, that means the weapon that Lincoln got. Lincoln got shot was an AR-15.
Oh my gosh, they had AR-15s since the Civil War. What are we going to do about this pandemic of AR-15s and their usage of death in this country? Oh, the horror. Think of the children.
Anyways, I think the next thing we can go into is now talking about the Biden administration and our thoughts on what they did right, what they did wrong, things like that. So, what would we like to first talk about? Let's talk about.
I will say the one thing that I know that is positive that the Biden administration really recently did.
The pulling out of Afghanistan.
No, that one was also already started by Trump. That's another thing
Well,
from
the one
Trump.
finishing it, I guess, really, and not stopping it.
Is it questionable if they did it in the same manner as the Babylon Bee?
Huh?
The Babylon Bee years ago, I think like 8 years ago, made an article that the U.S. Army leaves Afghanistan in the middle of the night so no one would be disturbed. And then it turns out that they actually left in the middle of the night and no one knew that they left. So, yeah, reality parodies the Babylon Bee again. How wonderful. It's totally not depressing. But no, recently,
Now I'm back.
Read what
yes,
that guy said.
if an AR-15 can shoot slugs, then an AK can shoot RPGs.
Exactly.
Yes.
That's
Finally.
a pretty good comment.
That's just essentially the weapons that the Space Marines would use in Warhammer 40K. Just how
Right.
big their shells were.
Anyways,
I thought the Space Marines shoot, what is it, 75 caliber? But anyways, it's not important. We're not going to talk about the armament of fictional people with fictional guns.
Let's nerd out on this stream, everybody. It'll trigger Z.
No, because I was going to start to bring up about the actual space gun developed by the Soviet Union.
Really?
anyways,
The Soviet
continue.
Union developed a wonderful
Just
triple.
get back.
Shut up! I'm going to mention it now because these two try to conspire to torture me. Now I'm going to torture them with
I
actual
was
history.
joking, Z. Lighten up.
I'm going to torture both of you with an interesting weapon because it is a pistol that was modified to hold a shotgun. So it is a double-barreled shotgun, short, with a huge caliber single-barreled on top. So it's triple-barreled. So two-barrel shotgun, single-barreled pistol, and the stock can be removed to turn it into an axe. And this was given to Soviet cosmonauts because unlike in America, where y'all landed in the Pacific Ocean and just needed to wait for a Navy ship to pick y'all up, in Russia, you had to land in Siberia and hope that the bears or wolves didn't fucking get you.
Mm.
So
I've actually seen
It's a
what
real
you're
weapon.
talking about. I saw a simple history thing about it.
yeah,
I
but
did
simple
too.
history is terrible on that. Anyways, what I wanted to bring out, the positive of the Biden administration, is recently the Biden administration passed an executive order called the Right to Repair, which directly goes against and targets companies like Apple, forcing them basically to not purposely make their devices and not to punish small repair shops that repair their products. Because if y'all didn't know, Apple does everything in their power now, so you cannot repair their devices. And if you're someone who can buy spare parts to repair an Apple product, well, now you're no longer allowed to buy that because Apple requires a certain certificate, which of course they don't give out. So you need a certificate to buy Apple spare parts, but they do not give out the certificate. So basically,
Yeah,
the
they
Biden
said this-
administration passed a whole executive order which doesn't allow companies in general to do something like this. So either they have to improve their services, or they allow the smaller guy to actually do the work that they're supposed to. And puts us back.
Oh yeah, I've been back.
Yeah, it comes back in and out so much.
Yeah,
And if
you don't have
internet
your-
connection.
Stop telling your internet connection to be such a putz.
Hard. I'm
Good
a
know
method,
myself.
sir.
Anyways, let's go on to specific areas. Let's talk about, for example, immigration with the Biden administration.
I don't know if I can say anything good about immigration, but I can mention another subject.
No, I'm talking about criticisms and praises. If there is.
Oh, I was
anything.
going to give a praise.
Fine if you want to.
Why?
So, one thing that surprised me is Biden has actually kept most of Trump's policies against China. So, like, a lot of the sanctions against Xinjiang and, Hong Kong have remained.
You gotta. Did you hear about the one executive order of where that they rescinded some Trump era executive order that was meant to protect our electrical grid? And in place of
No.
that, for the short term at least, they're having to relegate to purchasing Chinese-made equipment that would possibly even be still in control of the Chinese, or at least that was roughly what the Washington Examiner article is explaining anyways. So basically, Biden weakened our electrical grid, at least for the short term, for the first 100 days after that executive order was signed until they come up with a replacement plan. But why did they have to come up with a replacement plan? It doesn't make sense, because apparently the original plan had Trump's name on it and, Orange Man bad, all that stuff. But our electrical grid is weakened and is highly potential to be hacked by the Chinese until a replacement is, signed out by the Biden administration. So I do not know of how strong or not against the Chinese that Biden is, that I would say. In fact,
Yeah, hence why I said most.
Currently, the Biden administration is working to repeal the orders that punish or suspend companies like TikTok from the U.S.
All right, I got one thing to say.
Well, actually,
is it-
talking about the border mostly, not so much economics.
No, I am going to talk about the border.
Okay.
So
Okay.
we're letting in people from Central and South America, but yet the DHS secretary came out and said Cubans don't come when they're actually being oppressed, and the others are just fleeing economic problems. Cubans are fleeing for their lives. And I love my Cuban neighbors.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think.
That's
What about, for example, strictly? Let's go talking about strictly the border issue, regardless of the Cuban side portion of it. Strictly, let's talk about the border wall, the illegal immigration, and things like that. How do you think he's handling that?
Man, there was an article that I had shared for one time. I think I lost it now, but it was talking about how that Biden was wanting to build a smart wall, essentially, instead of a traditional wall or a more traditional wall like Trump was originally looking to build. So, I don't know. What do you guys think? Do you think that a smart wall would be more efficient than the traditional wall that Trump was originally thinking?
No, what the hell is a smart wall?
I think
It would be one
with
that would
drones and stuff, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it'd be one that would track anybody that is walking across, rather than it just be like a barrier that somebody would have to attempt to get around, and as soon as they get around it, they are just
Well, the issue when it comes to tracking, first off, how are you going to track them? Then secondly, what are you going to do with the tracking? You're going to still need someone to enforce it. And then thirdly, could this be viewed as a stepping stone to enact some other form of policy? Citation the Espionage Act.
Yep.
So, I prefer a normal border because, let's face it, as much as tracking is fun in video games, it's not fun when the government uses that technology that they mysteriously develop. I mean, remember, wasn't it in China that the super tracking that they do nationwide now, first it was developed for, like, prisons? Like, hey, don't worry, we'll just develop this so the inmates can't escape, so we don't need as many guards. And, oh, miraculously, this super strong system that they developed for prisons is now nationwide, tracking everyone. It's almost like China is a prison.
If walls and fences didn't work, how come they put up that crap around their houses and around the White House? Fences with barbed wire.
Checkmate, liberals.
I mean,
one thing that annoyed me about the liberals' responses to the idea of a border wall is that they act like consistently like there is going to be nobody guarding the wall at all. Like, oh, they're just going to have it completely unguarded and somebody can like take hours and hours out of their day to dig a hole underneath the wall. When really, no, the assumption would be that there would be some guards like walking across the top of the wall. And if they spot somebody that is starting to, dig a hole, then they'll put a stop to it,
Okay,
Exactly.
now-
The wall is both a deterrent and slows down anyone trying to get across. Like, there's even a video of seeing this in action. People were climbing over the wall, and it was enough time for border security to get there and stop them.
It
Yeah,
isn't
they
an
were
absolute
also-
deterrence. It's just something to slow down. Of course, you know what could also be technically easier to slow them down a bit?
Val,
Landmines?
we're not going to shoot them.
No, no, I'm talking about slowing down. That would just stop them in their tracks if you're a good enough shot. No, make a huge area, kind of like a no man's land, except, without explosives, and it's just barbed wire. That's it. You make a long enough field of just barbed wire. That's going to slow down people. If they're really desperate,
Couldn't they just
tetanus
put
shots
a
are
wooden plank over that or something?
do you know how difficult it is to
Or-
cut barbed wire, even if you cover it up?
or cut it with bolt cutters or some other kind
bolt
of
cutters
cutter
would
like
just
Oh,
be
no,
really
no, no, no,
slow.
no,
I'm
no.
talking about like
No,
a
the
wooden
biggest
plank.
mistake is you never want to cut barbed wire with bolt cutters. You could do that if that's a single line, but if you do it with modern barbed wires, which are multiple lines, they are purposely designed that if you cut it, you're going to have a fucking razor blade stuck in your eye afterwards.
it's going to bounce right at you in your face.
It's going to spiral in all directions to basically ensure that if there's more than one person, they're all cut. If it's one person, he's probably dead.
Well, and the other
It's-
problem is you also got to think about the environmental factors because you don't want specific kinds of things like that because that might not be good for like the wildlife around the border.
That's true, but I'm just talking about ways to slow them down more effectively.
Oh, stop
but-
being a hippie, Rational.
I mean, how much wildlife is even between the borders?
Probably
Coyotes.
mostly coyotes and
The birds would be fine on barbed wire.
well, yeah,
The
those-
lizards would be fine.
Yeah, they're small enough to crawl through. I think coyotes would also technically be fine, but they would more or less avoid it unless they try to go after whoever tried to cross it.
Well, I mean, to be fair, I imagine illegal immigration also threatens wildlife.
Wasn't there like a short period where there was a huge boom in people dying because of attempting to cross the border, and then came a boom in the coyote population? I'm not saying there's a correlation, but I'm suggesting there's a correlation.
Hey, they got some food.
Anyways, but
That's
now,
technically true. I mean, it's a desert.
now let's strictly go into the deportation of what the Biden administration either lack of or enforcement with deportation of illegal immigrants.
Well, he did bring back. Go ahead.
There is one other executive action of where that he rescinded some Trump era program that was meant to target child traffickers. I actually reported this on my own show. He, because of Orange Man bad again, he he rescinded some Trump era program that was meant to target specifically illegal immigrants who were trafficking children across the border.
Mhm.
Are you sure that's because of Trump and not the fact that it targets his personal hobby?
That was
Either way, it's still shitty and immoral, in my opinion. I mean, I know that the anarchists like to say that there should not be any government that exists at all, and therefore does not, police anybody on their immoral or unethical actions. Instead, you would have individuals that would be either doing vigilante justice or defending themselves from the pieces of shit in society. But because the government does exist, it's their job to prevent this sort of bullcrap from happening. Human trafficking, murder, rape, all that stuff. But in this case, definitely human trafficking. Child trafficking, too, for that matter. Let me see if I can go back and find the article again.
But,
You're breaking up.
What's up?
You're roboting.
Let's let Neko speak. He hasn't spoken in a while. He seems to be intimidated.
Yes, I'm clearly frightened.
Well, you
Intimidated doesn't necessarily mean frightened.
So, I mean, I
Yeah,
haven't.
okay.
I mean, the only thing I've seen from Biden is supposedly he's going to be finishing the wall or repairing bits, and he's just going to be building more ICE facilities. It sounds like he really has no interest in deporting people.
The only thing I've seen is dementia.
Well, yes. I mean, that kind of sums up everything he does.
So Operation Talon, that's the thing that Biden had struck down. There's the article. Anyway.
But yeah, it's like, I just don't get, why do you want to lock up a bunch of illegals? Not only wouldn't it be cheaper, but I don't know, just why would you want to keep them here instead of sending them back?
Well, I got a crazy conspiracy theory if y'all want to hear it.
Are you gonna say he wants to
No,
sniff all their hair?
Fuck no, he only goes for girls. Anyways.
No, it's mostly young girls, but some older women.
What are you talking about?
This is why I am dreading September when you see my family. You concern me. But anyways.
In September.
No.
And for those who are wondering what Z is talking about, I am planning on making a trip to Germany in September to see Z in person.
Yeah, I don't care.
Wake me up when September ends.
Anyway, fuck you, Demon. Let's
You're the
continue
worst
with
group
the
of
discussion.
people I know.
Hey, make sure you say hi to David Hasselhoff for me.
Oh, for fuck's sakes, he keeps selling shit over here. Hey, at least we got David Hasselhoff, and Justin Bieber is no longer on the radar around here.
Yeah.
I prefer
Sorry,
David Hasselhoff.
continue
over-
on.
Anyways, my basic conspiracy theory is that you'll keep collecting the illegals because Biden is a proud Southern boy. So recently, and by recent I mean it's a few months old now, where he said that no amendment is what was it? No amendment is just. Basically, he was talking about going against the Second Amendment, and he said something that no amendment is fully held or something.
Yeah, no amendment is absolute. That's what you're talking
Yeah,
about.
no amendment is absolute. So you repeal the 18th, but you don't.
You mean the
No, wait.
13th?
What?
You mean the 13th?
Repeal the 19th. Wait, did I say that?
Fucking. Which one was the one that
Hey,
ended
16th
slavery?
Amendment.
That's
Apparently
the
we.
13th.
Okay.
Okay, so repeal the 13th, and you start to use everyone at the ICE facility for the Senate. That's how you boost the economy without bringing in more jobs.
Anyways, now Steelfang has a comment here. I think it's a question, really.
What about the Democrats sending the illegals all over the country by plane?
I think that's actually a live chat comment that was directed to Wesley Washington right above him. That says imagination is a game of deportation because as soon as someone gets picked up, people are just going to come back. We could spend less money to let them stay than more money deportation.
Actually, if we continue, there is a small conversation going on over here with the. But of course, we can go all the way back to starting with Steel Fang's wonderful joke over here. What's the shot for people who suffer from diabetes? In response to Diaper Wolves, if an AR-15 can shoot slugs, then an AK can shoot RPGs.
Well, okay. The thing is with sending people back is like, well, first of all, that is a massive journey from anywhere from like 300 miles to 1,000 plus, given where they're coming from, like Central America or whatever. And second is some of those people have to hire a coyote, someone to lead them through, and that can cost anywhere between $500 to thousands of dollars. So it's definitely a lot harder for them to come back a second time.
Well, let me say this to Wesley in the live chat, because I think you might be saying this in response to me mentioning Biden striking down Operation Talon that was from the Trump administration. I mean, yes, obviously, if you don't punish any sorts of criminals at all, you're ultimately going to be spending less money, be it jailing them or deporting them. But in this case, being like child traffickers or sex offenders, I guess is the term that they actually use on the article. But if ultimately, do sex offenders get to go unpunished in general, be it jail time or deportation?
I mean, technically, if you send them to jail, they have a higher chance of being shanked and not making it out alive.
Steel Fang, they're using the military to do that.
I think you're talking about the plane thing. About is that being done? Because I think I recall hearing some of that early in the year.
Yes.
Can you please?
They're using military bases in Texas, and they're sending illegals to like Tennessee and all kinds of other states. And guess what? Their governors are pissed.
Although, to be fair, isn't that because they want to lessen the strain on the detention centers on the border?
They have no right to be here. If you're going to fly them to another state, fly them home.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm
to give credit, because some of them might be legitimate asylum seekers if they're seeking asylum in the sense of the legal. If they're legitimate asylum seekers and they said they were seeking asylum, they have to be processed before to be determined if they're actually legitimate reasons for them to seek asylum.
If they're legitimate, I'm good with that. But why did they repeal the Remain in Mexico thing? Like, Mexico actually, outside of, if you're not in Juarez, there's all kinds of places in Mexico that are pretty nice.
But yeah, perhaps they probably should seeking asylum in Mexico first. I mean, despite the fact that their government is terrible at everything, it's at least better than some other countries.
Yeah, it's better than being in Guatemala.
Or Venezuela.
Oye, vato, ¿qué pasó? No es bueno.
Bye. Anyways, but I do have an extension to what Darkon said, or technically in response to what Wesley Washington said about cheaper to keep them rather than to kick them out. It also becomes a complete issue in terms of the country. First off, over time, keeping them alive isn't cheap. I mean, how much was it again, Demon, to keep people on death row alive?
Like hundreds of thousands.
Yeah. And then there's also the fact that those which are not caught and remain around tend to do more problems. Like, if I'm not mistaken, in the southern portion of California, the whole issue with car crashes and basically, the other individual running, because it turns out they aren't exactly in the country legal, causes a whole list of problems for the other one who crashed into them.
Yeah, because they're not legal. They don't have a valid driver's license. They don't have insurance. they're getting welfare, social security, and all kinds of other benefits. So they are costing us money. So Wesley, I'm going to have to disagree with you, bro. Like, you're wrong.
I do have one particular thing to say about the Biden administration whenever we are done with the immigration part.
Well, if I could add, even if, let's just say it is costing us more to deport, the other parts you also have to think about is because those people will obviously eventually have kids. If we were talking about a political stance, those, and I know, Wesley, you are left wing, you have the reason to politically let them stay, and whether you agree with it or not, they do tend to vote more left wing. And the other problem is if you get so many people who are not from the U.S. coming in, like millions and millions each year, you get the problem of not integrating into the country. They form certain.
Not gonna lie, this kind of reminds me of the one line from Shane Killian when he responded to you on immigration, being all like, "Oh, so we should deport people based off of their voting patterns." Whatever exact line he said in response to you.
Yeah, but the other problem was the fact that they're not going to necessarily integrate if there's millions upon millions of people. If it's small groups, you can have integration much more easily. But if you have millions upon millions, that becomes very difficult to assimilate, to get people to assimilate to the culture, to the values of the host country.
What even are our values anymore?
Burgers, fireworks, and the occasional being shot by a police and them getting away with it.
Our
I'm
values should
going
be
to punch you in the face.
our values should be like adherence to the U.S. Constitution.
Well,
Of
I
course,
know
that's
that.
being thrown in the trash, but still.
Demon, you were there before this country founded. Of course, you would know this.
Well, I'm
Sorry.
immortal, so.
Anyways, Neko, did you have a point you wanted to bring up?
Hey, Neko, you gotta talk fast if you want to talk in the stream, because that's how it works.
He might be AFK.
Okay, well. Anyways, what was I saying? Well, we have a comment here from Steelfang, so we'll bring that up.
For people on death row, just take them out back and put a 12 gauge through the back of the head. I don't know why I'm trying to sing this. Quick, cheap, and painless death. I wouldn't say cheap. The cleaning cost would cost quite a bit.
This is how we solve imagination. I think you know what? I think you meant immigration, Wesley Washington. Just like the last chat comment of yours that we read, you said imagination. I think you meant immigration. This is how we solve immigration. We make Spanish and English official language and open the border.
That's not how it
That
works.
really doesn't solve the problem of immigration. That just makes it potentially worse. Because
I will say it like this, because in Europe, the European government is trying to form Euro-Africa, which is an open border thing to basically combine the continents of Africa and Europe into one, as disastrous as that's going to be. But I'm just going to say this. It wasn't until the migrant crisis that in my own city, we had 2 African cannibals kill a 22-year-old girl and have her head in their fridge.
I just want to say that if we open the border and make it essentially so that no immigrant is an illegal immigrant, they're all legal immigrants basically, imagine how much the welfare system would skyrocket at that point.
Well,
Imagine the diabetes cost.
collapse.
Imagine the diabetes.
But anyways,
Are you saying that because you think Mexicans are all diabetics, you fucking racist?
No, I'm saying statistically a decent portion of them are diabetic.
Hate facts. Hey,
Okay,
and by
then
the way,
Demon, think about the benefit of if your country joined Mexico with an open border policy. You get a lot of a lot of cheap black tar heroin. You see, that's an advantage.
anyways, Wesley, as far as I'm not even talking about strictly the cost side. I'm talking about strictly the cultural side of the country. Like, I'm just gonna say this: I don't give a shit about the skin color of any immigrants. If it's Europeans who are coming over here illegally in masses,
Oh,
I'd say the
please,
exact
you're
same
black.
thing.
Of course you care about skin color.
I don't care about the skin color of the immigrants, but as I was saying, it's all based on the fact of integration. People who come here en masse, regardless of skin color or race, they're less likely to integrate into the culture or the values of that country if they're coming in millions upon millions, because there's no incentivization. There's no.
Yeah, imagine that we take in a whole bunch of European gun grabbers, for example.
Well, yes. If they come in.
There goes the Second Amendment, y'all.
Yes, exactly. And you don't get the people to integrate, to see the other country's values and try to, okay, maybe I should think about how this goes, and maybe this is actually better. You don't get those people assimilating to those viewpoints. That's the long-term consequence if you have allow anyone to just come in. And since the United States is one of the largest countries that people immigrate to, you're going to get millions, as I said. It's not like if let's say I don't know, let's say Venezuela opens its borders. Venezuela is not going to get millions upon millions of people coming to it.
Oh, yeah.
They could technically probably have open borders and they would be fine.
Because nobody wants to fucking live there. Oh, sorry, I cussed.
But yeah, you're going to get a change in the country's values, and then that just creates that's going to create hostilities.
For me, what I think is the biggest problem with the open border crowd is that they seem to think that countries are only borders, that there's nothing else to it. I mean, years ago, when I went to London...
line, bruh.
Shut up, Darkon. Anyways, when I visited London...
Don't tell him to shut up, bro.
Demon, I will try to give you an experimental hip replacement. It's called without anesthesia.
Go ahead.
Anyways, when I visited London, me and my mother did the mistake of going to a portion of East London. I can tell you, just around the corner of one street, it turned from what you imagine London is to Afghanistan, with everyone staring at you as if you were the foreigner. Which technically, in this case, me being half German, half Italian, and my mother being fully German, yeah, technically we were the foreigners, but that wasn't the kind of looks that I was saying that we were getting.
You're getting looks like if somebody wanted to do a jihad on you.
Well, that's one way of describing it, but I'm talking more about the looks as if they were still in their own countries. And I could tell that it was Afghanistan because of the number of Afghan flags flying around.
All right, may I talk now without Rational muting me again?
Yes.
Okay, so I was going to say, in Londonistan, it's just like being in a inner city. Like, people look at you funny if you don't look like them or practice the same religion. It's called racism exists in every single culture. It exists all over.
No, but what I mean is the whole fact that this is London, but even though these are London buildings, it literally just went from London, England, to somewhere in Afghanistan.
That's Londonistan.
Going back to the whole liberals saying it's just a line, it's funny how they completely changed their tune
when it comes to Kyle Rittenhouse.
Well, I mean, yeah, but I mean, when they're talking about Native Americans and such, because they'll be like, "Oh, it's stolen land," but I thought it was just a line.
Right, that would be another example.
You know what? You know how you end this border crisis in the U.S.? I mean, a simple solution.
There are many arguments that you can make against immigration control.
Go ahead and make your point.
Are you seriously silencing people the whole time?
I wanted to hear what you were going to say, and then Dark kind of
Okay, my joke was going to be invade Mexico and turn it into a territory like Puerto Rico. So they cannot come by any means.
We should have kept them during the American-Mexican War.
No, then you would just get you would get California plus desert.
But as I was about to say, there are many arguments that leftists and even open border libertarians can make against immigration control. But please at least drop the imaginary lines argument. It doesn't work. I mean, you can say the same thing about somebody's private property, but that doesn't mean that the person doesn't have a right to enforce the ownership of that private property, whether or not they drew anything to make a solid line of their property, like a fence or something.
Exactly.
Well, can I make a point?
Yeah.
All right. So even if you take away borders, like on a map, there will still be natural borders of people's language, ethnicity, and culture. Like, you take away the borders around China, there'll still be a very large Han population in the center of the coast. Or, like, another thing is, like, part of the reason I don't think, like, a globalist society would work is that people in the Middle East would inherently view women differently, even in, like, an ANCAP society. And some woman goes over there from the West, flies over there, and then she gets a shit beat out of her. I'm sorry.
I genuinely can't tell if you're talking about Turkey, Morocco, what is it, Frankfurt, Paris, or what is it, Birmingham. I cannot tell which one you're talking about.
Well, whichever has very large Muslim populations.
All of them. Well, except maybe Frankfurt.
Uh-oh. Damn it, Putz, you said it.
But anyway, there'll still be natural cultural borders, and people would still have inherently different beliefs from others. Mm-hmm. And again, you go do something from a different culture that's forbidden in another culture, well, you're going to have problems.
I got the perfect example for you, Putz.
Sure.
You remove the borders of the Middle East, you're still going to notice where the lines are between Israel and everyone else.
Yep.
That's true.
That's a quick example of where it's never going to...
Why do I feel like if we just open the borders, China would just start to Uyghurify a lot more people slowly but surely?
You made it.
China would definitely do that if they could financially support that. But considering that China is currently in the starting stages of a full-blown economic collapse, and to our chat and to everyone else over here who don't understand what I'm talking about, that China's currency is heavily inflating, more so than most people on most countries on this planet. And China's solution to that is government restriction on pricing, because it worked very well in the Soviet Union.
Oh boy.
And Venezuela.
Camps.
Yeah, that.
I thought their solution was taking Taiwan.
I just want to say, my price gouging, bruh.
So good.
Well, are we still talking about Biden?
Nope.
I kind of left. Did we talk about his inflation? That kind of just printing more money thing he's doing?
Yeah. I mean, he's definitely turning so far to be the biggest spender, or at least if he keeps up the same rate that he is going, gonna be the biggest spender of American presidential history. I that's not me like abstaining any responsibility from Trump as far as his big time spending during his presidency, but still,
yeah, but
Biden has turned out to be worse.
When it comes to Trump, at least that was in the latter half of all things.
Well, he did a $1 trillion stimulus package within his first year in office. And within his last year in office, he, of course, did the COVID relief, or at least both of them even. I think there were at least 2 COVID relief plans that were dished out by his administration. And then the third one came out under Biden, and I can't remember if there was like a fourth one that was actually successful or not. I'm pretty sure that he wanted to do a fourth one, but I don't think he was successful, if I recall correctly.
But Darkon, Biden, Pope's got, the most votes in history for his asterisk presidency. So, I think your toast me goat's cray-cray because, he's obviously so popular, even though if you go on the White House website, look at it.
You're kind of robotic, by the way.
Oh, am I?
Yes,
yeah,
but weirdly enough, I think we can all understand what the fuck you're saying.
Anyways, I think we can go on to another topic for the Biden administration. So why don't we
Well, we were. We were talking about inflation.
Demon, zip it. Anyways, I think we've summed up the inflation part fine enough. Why don't we go on strictly the economic front, regulations, things like that?
I personally don't think I've heard a whole lot, although there is a shutdown of the Keystone XL pipeline. I did once say that had an effect on gas prices, but then on revisiting of that subject, the most that one could say is that it decreased confidence in the oil market from the oil industries. And so therefore they jacked up the prices in preparation of how it would hurt them in the long term, not being able to finish up the XL pipeline. But in the short term, it kind of takes away those jobs that might have been, yes, admittedly temporary and seasonal, and not like 20-year-long careers that each of the engineers on the XL pipeline would be able to work on. But all the same, they lost those jobs immediately.
There is still the difference of we're doing a job, we know it's going to come to an end, so we have time to prepare, but we're still going to get paid for all of this, and we still know that we're covered for this amount of time. Instead of, well, now you're out of the job, good fucking luck.
Yeah, that's like unironically a criticism or a response or rebuttal, whatever, that I heard from somebody or read from somebody in response to all the conservatives that go talking against Biden on shutting down the XL pipeline. I'm just thinking to myself, well, no shit, but it doesn't matter. Should the government be the one to like intervene and shut it down so that they like end up losing their jobs sooner rather than later? No, doesn't matter.
I mean, you guys are aware of the concept of autarky.
What?
The concept of autarky.
That sounds like a horrible anime.
Well, no, it's not. So it's an idea of a state being completely independent of it. Essentially, the state that's independent and doesn't need any sort of resources or any kind of foreign trade whatsoever to stay afloat or keep alive, at least in its basic functions. The closest rough parodies that we gotten of this was states and countries maybe like 1,000 years ago, but the only champ now is North Korea, still keeping the dream alive.
But North Korea is backed up. Aren't they like financially backed up by China or something?
But they've fallen out pretty hard with China. China's cut off
China and Russia.
Yeah.
Well, to be fair, they still get food resources from all across the world.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So they aren't completely self-sufficient and isolationist.
No. So most
they're
states,
isolationists unless you give them food and money.
Like the idea that I hear you explain to us, Putza, is the idea of somebody being isolationist with their economy or being able to self-sustain to where they can at least be isolationists and it would not hardly affect them at all. Yeah.
So a lot of the states would go for autarky. The reason why I'm bringing this up is a lot of states try to preserve themselves. And so building the Keystone pipeline, it would have at least, like, take the 70s when we had that massive oil embargo from the Middle East, and it hurt us pretty badly. If the pipeline was built, it would have been a little bit harder for, again, lack of better words, for the Middle East to cuck us, or it would allow the West to have a more friendlier oil-dependent country, just in case if Russia ever went and did anything, let's say, a little mischievous, or the Middle East just tries to embargo us again. And so the U.S. has been trying to be completely oil-dependent, at least the past 30 years ago since that event.
Yeah.
But now since it's canceled, it's going to be hard for the West to be. So a lot of empires try to do pseudo-autarky, or essentially create a empire like the Japanese, pro-prosperity sphere, and
the Nazis.
Yep, that's in a way. Oh well, to be fair, Laymansborn looked a lot like essentially what the German Empire just had planned for their economic sphere. But I don't know. That's part of the reason that I wanted the Keystone Pipeline to be built. And since it's no longer built now, that means we have to be more dependent on foreign exports of oil.
I mean,
And-
technically, there is a solution to this. And it was a joke in The Simpsons.
Oh, really?
Yes, in one of the special episodes where it takes place in the future. Where, somewhere between Simpsons and Futurama, of course. But anyways, where Bart's girlfriend makes a whole joke of wanting him to come on a trip with her to America's 51st state, Saudi Arabia. That's technically a solution.
But the problem is, like, the strange thing about it, like I would say,
imagine that we liberate all the whammons from Saudi Arabia.
I mean, technically, the Simpsons version of Saudi Arabia is nowhere close to current place because women get to wear shorts and drive cars.
Yeah. You're saying, Papa?
Well, you see, the really strange thing about America, I would call it sort of an empire in the traditional sense, but it has also let a lot of places go throughout its history. Like, there was a lot of places it could have absorbed, such as Greenland. Some places in the let's see, I believe
we could have kept all of Mexico during the Mexican-American War instead of just Utah, Nevada, New Mexico, Arizona, and Texas. Well, Texas was already with us before the Mexican-American War, but I digress.
Yeah. Oh wow, that's awful.
Yeah.
Not what y'all two are talking about. What I just stumbled across. Your credit score should be based on your web history. IMF says.
Oh, jeez.
Oh, hell no.
Oh, how much
no
is
one
that?
Likes it.
Well, how much does he actually believe in? How much is just rhetoric to go rile up a base so he can go continue most of Trump's policies? Like, I know he talks a big game, but then again, he did. What was it? Reinstate. What was it? Critical race theory in the federal districts. It was something to do with that.
Right.
Trump took it off and he reinstated it. But I don't know. It called me a little bit of cuckoo, crazy conspiracy theorist. So I know I've ranted a lot about deconstruction from the left, but you look at places that are hard, who has rebelled throughout history, or places that had an identity and wasn't afraid of it. Like if Washington went and says, well, America has nothing to be proud of and it's completely evil, then they wouldn't have been an American Revolution. And all places that rebelled against Britain, such as like Ireland, was India, most of these places had strong national identities. You take that down, and so you get it's harder to unify behind a cause, because even the communist states, they unified behind a certain identity. Like Russia split up from Mao. But another thing with the left is they're also so extremely dependent on the state for everything. They like the conversations that they don't believe that themselves can build roads, or capitalism can't build roads, despite the fact that capitalism has been building roads. Hell, like fucking China and Rome were trading with each other. They're merchants before their governments even met each other. And so that's a people that inherently doesn't have an identity to fight, and B, doesn't have enough self-esteem or understanding of basic economics to actually rebel. Like you see in this sort of that one, what was it, Chad Autonomous Zone? They still needed the government's help to just survive, so they couldn't run, hypothetically, rebel against the government. It wouldn't work. The government could just cut off their water supplies and that's it. But if you take somebody in the country who, again, has a strong identity, who is self-efficient and could be independent, now that's an actual challenge to its power. And so that's the main reason, partially, that, again, the nature of bureaucracy, it's a pie, and putting racial thought back into politics, because, race is power, and that's a lot of power to be gained from it. And so that's the reason why I think the left is moving and going about it. Like, I was talking to a guy, and you ever notice how, like, in Star Wars, or just like most fictional empires in general, all right, they have like 1,000 systems under their control. And again, like Rome, Rome only had like 5 states, or roughly about half of let's see, was it Europe? And if you just do that, then you get a more effective empire by combining these things that I'm talking about. And so, yeah, that's why I think they're doing it.
Well,
There's
if
always
I have
some
to
sort
give a
of state of
better
commission.
example of that rather than Star Wars, no offense.
Well, I was giving. I know, I was giving.
It would be
yeah.
actually Finland.
It's like no bullshit talking to vegan gains. You know, animals would mistreat us if they had the chance as well. I mean, take a look at War of the Planet of the Apes.
Well, to be fair, they do mistreat us. Like if you get lost in the wilderness and a polar bear comes upon you, you're fucked.
Oh yeah,
Forget
there's a
about the
real
polar
life-
bear. Look at the most destructive animal on the planet besides humans.
But no bullshit isn't
Household
educated enough to actually say that to vegan gains.
Household cats. I'm just going to keep saying this until someone acknowledges. Household cats. But anyways, no, the better example would be when the Soviet Union invaded Finland in the Winter War to try to gain 13% of the country. And basically Stalin's logic was because in Finland they didn't really have a functioning government at this point because they got out of a civil war. And there was already a communist party in Finland, and there was just the usual party. Just some small things were gathering around. There was no military. So Stalin thought that if he invaded Finland, the Finnish communists would join the Red Army because they are also communists. He found out the hard way that it turns out the Finnish communists may be communists, but they prefer Finland over the Soviet Union.
Right.
Yeah, I lost track of what you were saying when you said thought.
Wait, what? Anyways, let's continue.
Demon, get your head out of the gutter.
How about you get your head out of that whore's ass?
Y'all two are awful.
There's one thing that I wanted to say about Biden, if I may. Like, originally, I was hesitant to actually say that Biden was worse than Obama. I thought that Biden was going to be a bit of a watered-down version of Obama. But as his administration rolled out more and more, like, just merely by what he has been attempting, I say that he as a president is worse than Obama just by mere attempt alone. And why do I say that? Because of him pushing, or at least his administration, pushing for warrantless gun seizures, pushing for door-to-door vaccinations. That sets a very bad precedent for the next step to very easily be mandatory door-to-door vaccines. Who knows? We haven't arrived quite there yet, but like I said, who knows of what next is the next step for how they're going to do this, especially if they keep on fear-mongering the Rona. And also, him like pushing for the DHS to have some anti-extremism domestic terrorism program, so as to track down and stop anybody in their tracks for preaching supposed racism or any sort of anti-government sentiment. Have you guys heard about that one?
Yeah, we're all already on a list.
Hey, screw y'all. I'm outside of your system.
Well, who knows? Angela Merkel might be coming for your ass, Z. You fucking nuts.
Yeah.
Actually, no, I'm in the safe state of Bavaria. The federal government might be invasive over here, but at least certain states are still willing to show off the middle finger on occasions. And luckily enough, I'm in the state that likes to think itself as being different because we had the second largest kingdom. So,
and I just want to add as well that Obama, if he had as much of the the foreground built for him, he probably would have done pretty much the same things, I have no doubt, as Biden is attempting or even successfully done as far as a surveillance and intrusive government goes, a surveillance state and intrusive government goes. But all the same, just by that alone, I can solidly now say that Biden is worse than Obama.
I would agree. I mean, kind of. They're both horrible. So is Bush. So is Clinton.
So we continue, and let's put. Neko Boy has something to say. We've been here
Neko,
for quite a while.
Do you have any comments you would like to say?
Well, first, I'd like to say I think we should wrap up soon. But second, I feel like it's still too early to tell, but I would say Biden is on the path of being worse than Obama, given he has that frickin' barricade around the White House like he's a dictator.
Yeah.
And of course, the gun laws and the trying to work with Facebook and whatnot to censor, quote, misinformation.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah, I got a question for y'all. How would y'all deem that, as unconstitutional or?
Completely.
Definitely.
yeah, like the merging of corporations and government is just bad news all around.
It's definitely unconstitutional. Hey, Rational,
Outlaw,
do
you have any comments?
I told you certain parts of it can be unconstitutional, other parts are not. It depends on how they go. If the government, as I've said, strictly speaking, word for word from the Constitution, if the government just suggests certain people should be banned and does not force Facebook or Twitter or YouTube or Google to do anything, technically speaking, that is legal, constitutionally speaking.
Rational, do you want to watch the palate cleanser I sent you?
Do I want to watch the what?
That palate cleanser I sent you.
Oh, yes.
It's just silly animals, and we can see ourselves out after that.
Did you guys, like during the 2020 election, see at all the proposals from Andrew Yang, Tulsi Gabbard, and even Bernie Sanders? The proposal for an organization that would keep accountable, quote unquote, misinformation on the internet?
How many fucking groups are you in?
Holy shit. One of those servers has over 1,000 notifications for you.
They're probably like, Rational, you there, man?
A response to Steel Fang. Z, the globalists have no boundaries. Well, yes, but also, the globalists are still a bunch of rich people who think that they're tough, but we can give them a veggie. I'm sorry, but how many of y'all honestly believe, with how much money Bill Gates has, how many of y'all believe that if you could meet to him in a one-on-one fight, you wouldn't give him a veggie?
Biden?
No, Bill Clinton. Bill Gates. Bill Gates.
Bill Gates? I ain't giving Bill Gates shit. I already bought an Xbox One. Fuck Bill Gates.
If somebody was to sign a waiver, yeah, I probably would do it.
Anyway, I'm going to play the video here.
Kobe fishing trip vlog, January 2016, starring Poncho the Sea Lion.
Yeah, it's a quick video. It's only in minute 42.
It's just pictures. Oh, there we go.
Oh, look at the critter! Son of a bitch!
You've been fishing all day, and that sea lion steals your shit?
That dude's lucky he didn't get hit by the engine.
Yeah.
Oh, there it is.
He's still kicking.
Unless it uses water jet.
Yeah, it might be.
More boats use water jets because it is more efficient.
Now the pelicans are showing up. He's like, "Where's the rest of my fish, dude?"
No, he was doing the boat.
I was about to say mine, like from Finding Nemo, but I just remembered that seagulls, not pelicans.
Okay,
the pelicans were annoyed at the seagulls. From Finding Nemo.
Yep.
Yeah, there's another video that like later on the sea lion comes back. But I figured we just like have a quick one where we can be like, okay, let's purge all that bad crap out of our minds and feel like, okay, here's something cute.
It was good.
Yeah, sure.
If you think that was all the stuff that we were talking about was bad, have you guys heard about the rainbow dildo butt monkey?
Of
Yes,
course!
that was
Yeah.
England.
I follow lotus eaters.
Well, be it England or wherever, like that's still like bigger cancer than all the stuff that we talked about in regard to Biden.
Yeah,
I've
and
actually
like the
talked-
library like knew about it, like they made a comment about it and then like backtracked. Oh, we
Yeah.
didn't know what we
We didn't know.
hired. Yes, you did.
Yeah, you're making jokes. You're cracking jokes about it with some other
Library.
YouTube user or something.
Exactly.
Something other.
So
Yeah,
whoever's running that library honestly should be fired, and it's kind of scary. Like none of the Tories are like talking about it.
I agree.
I think they should definitely be fired.
Just like-
agree
At least.
with that.
The fuck
All
was
right,
that
Dave
voice?
Rubin.
That was Freedom Tunes impersonation of Dave Rubin. I agree
Like
with that.
I disagree.
I genuinely cannot think of a conservative politician in the UK that's actually conservative.
That's
Yeah,
because
right.
the British just sold their
Like-
souls long ago.
Well,
Sorry,
They
Boris
might-
Johnson isn't a conservative, and even Nick Farage kind of flip flops.
They might be conservative relative to their culture, but if you wanted to say that they were like anything right-leaning compared to right-wingers here in the U.S., yeah, they're not right-winging.
Well, I
The
mean, at
center
least
left in the UK is now that's considered right wing, and that's what the leftists in America are trying to do. Okay, go on, Nico.
well, I was gonna say like at least the YouTubers I followed, like Rosa Dawn and Sargon. I mean, they seem to kind of agree that like even they think the Tories aren't that conservative. So it could be similar to America, how the politicians are sometimes softer than they need to be. Because, like, for example, in America, we have the term rhino, Republican in name only.
Yep.
So it seems like over there, they have a much worse case of it.
Oh yeah.
Anyways, I think that will be it for today. If anyone has any other final comments they want to bring up or something.
Nope.
All right.
All I want to say is check out my YouTube channel. I do news streams every Tuesday, 7:30 p.m. Central Standard Time. The latest episode of Strike Force was going towards the end when I reported about the rainbow dildo butt monkey, and that was utter cancer. It hurt my soul to just read about it.
Yeah, it makes
Why do you like
me
to
worried
torture
for the
yourself?
UK's future. Or at this point, we might as well call it Airstrip 1.
Makes me worried for all of humanities. It makes me worried for all of humanity's future. But yeah, that's my channel, and that's what I do. I really have to get back into doing edited response videos to sort of actually appease the fan base, because I think people are getting tired of the news streams. And plus, they aren't bringing in a whole lot of subscribers or views as compared to response videos. But yeah, that's my shtick.
And anyways, also, you have Neko here who has his own YouTube channel. Go ahead and subscribe to him. He does his geek culture content.
Yes, and I just put out a new song.
And then you have Putza, who has his own YouTube channel where she does, I guess, some videos, some more comedy stuff. And of course, don't forget to commission Z Commander with his different tanks and other kinds of models. And I think he might be expanding into some other areas.
No, don't say anything right now.
Okay.
I
well,
will slap you with a fish if you mention anything of that right now.
Anyways, he does his tank models, so go ahead and if you're interested in something like that.
Question to anyone in the comments below if I should reactivate my Patreon. If that's a viable option at this point.
Yes. And of course, if you really like my content here, please consider donating to please consider donating to Patreon or to the Ko-fi. And of course,
No, he already earns enough.
No, I can always use more.
No.
And of course, if you want to get something with some form of donation, is you can always go to my merch store, purchase something from there. And if you own a business or you work for a business that needs help with its employees' benefits, please go ahead and contact me. We can work something out. or if you know someone who has a business and they wants some help with employee benefits, still, again, just contact me. I can work something out for you guys. So do all this, and I'll see y'all later.